If you're trying to improve your OET writing score, you might think it's all about memorizing templates and phrases. But real, lasting progress, well, it requires a much deeper approach. This is such a common trap to fall into. You learn a structure, but you don't really understand how to adapt it. And what happens? You end up with this really rigid writing that just doesn't fit the specific case notes you've been given. We need a more effective approach. So here's the crucial point. Real improvement comes from looking inward. It's about becoming a detective of your own writing, finding the clues to what you need to work on, and then practicing deliberately to fix them. Okay, so that brings us to our very first strategy. You have to build the habit of self-review. Before you even think about getting feedback from other people, you have to recognize that you are your own most important critic. I mean, just think about it. The people who really nail this and get those high scores, they're basically expert self-editors. They've trained themselves to spot their own errors first, and that's the skill we're going to focus on building. So to build this habit, you need a checklist, something just like this, to use after every single piece of writing. Ask yourself these questions. Is the purpose of my letter crystal clear from the get-go? Have I included any information that's just unnecessary? Are any of my sentences way too long? Is my vocabulary and use of verb tenses appropriate? And super important, is the information in a logical order? This really captures an essential mindset shift. You're not just downloading knowledge into your brain, you're building a practical skill. It's like an athlete reviewing game footage. You have to deliberately reflect on your own performance to actually improve. Now, let's move to our second strategy, which builds directly on that idea. Once you start noticing your own mistakes through self-review, what do you do with them? Well, you build a correction bank. So what is a correction bank? Think of it like your personal, customized textbook for improvement. It's one dedicated place where you log the specific errors you make, not just once, but every time you find them. The whole purpose is to make your weaknesses impossible to ignore. The correction bank fits perfectly into this powerful improvement cycle. First, you write. Then you correct your work through self-review. But here's the key third step. You verbalize the correction. You actually explain the error and the fix out loud. This makes you fully aware of the pattern. And finally, you practice again, but this time applying what you've learned. And this slide shows you a really practical example. Notice the columns, you categorize the mistake type, you record the specific example from my writing, and most importantly, you write down how to fix it. Reviewing this log before you write makes your improvement systematic, not just random. This leads directly to our third strategy, which might feel a little counterintuitive at first. Improve through repetition, not by chasing perfection on a single letter. You see, the goal of practice isn't to produce one perfect, flawless piece of writing. The real goal is to internalize the patterns. So, spending hours polishing one letter is far less effective than using that same time to write several different letters, even if they aren't perfect. So, aim to write about 3 to 5 different cases that use a similar structure. This volume, this repetition, is the key to recognizing those patterns and being able to apply the right format and vocabulary almost automatically. What you're doing here is building your mental library. With enough practice, you'll see a set of case notes and immediately recognize the structure. Like, this is a transfer letter to a nursing home. The whole process becomes second nature. All right. Finally, let's cover our fourth strategy. This is a simple but incredibly powerful finishing tool to use right before you complete your letter, the read aloud final check. When you read your own writing silently in your head, your brain often fills in the gaps and just automatically corrects your mistakes. But when you read it out loud, you force yourself to slow down, and suddenly you'll hear the awkward phrasing, the sentences that go on forever, and the places where the logic just doesn't flow. Your ears will catch what your eyes missed. This highlights a simple but powerful principle. If a sentence is easy and natural to say, it's almost always going to be clear and easy to read. This is a fantastic test for clarity, which, at the end of the day, is the ultimate goal of the OET writing task. So, as we finish up, I want to leave you with this question to think about. Look at your current study habits. Are you just trying to memorize phrases and templates? Or are you actively building a skill through self-review, systematic correction, and deliberate repetition? The answer to that question will determine how quickly you improve.